Hey guys, it's Tiffany. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'll be showing you how to build a trellis for your lovely plants. So if that's something you're interested in, then stay tuned and let's get started. Okay guys, so the first thing you're going to need is some bamboo stakes. I just got this package of 2-foot long ones for my Monstera a long time ago off of Amazon. We're just going to cut these down and make them fit that 6-inch pot. I also have some that were sent to me in like packages and stuff that I'm going to repurpose right now. So, second thing you're going to need is something to cut the bamboo with. I'm using my actual pruning shears because I don't have any scissors that will actually cut through it. Next thing you're going to need is twine and scissors to cut said twine. And that's it. You need your pot technically. So I am going to pull this guy out of his, because he was in his nursery pot. We're going to use a 6-inch pot, and this is how we're going to do it. So, first thing I'm going to do is kind of find some of these stakes that I think would be best for the size plant that we have. So I'm going to go with the thinner ones if I can. Get a couple of them out. These are really cheap. It was like a pack of 24 for like 10 bucks. So, I'm going with it. Actually, I think that's what I'm going to stop there. Alright, so first things first, you got to figure out how many poles you want your trellis to have. I'm going to make mine have 3. So, I could make this look a little bit more, more aesthetically pleasing, so let's do this. Okay, so I got these 3. I'm going to fit them into the pot. Do I want 3? Yeah. I'm going to fit them into the pot, make sure I know that that's how I want them to be, and I think 3 would be perfect. I personally take my trellis and put them on the outside of one side of the pot, specifically with this one because of the fact that it's going to stand up. So I try to make sure my trellis actually fits the pot. So this one looks like it does. I'm probably going to cut it around like here-ish, and that's only because I don't want this guy to touch the ceiling. So I'm looking up because the shelf that this guy sits on is actually behind the camera, so I'm trying to figure out if it's tall enough. So I'm probably going to cut it here. So take your shears and snip snip. Okay, maybe it's not that easy. It was last time. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So that was a lot easier last time I did this. This is the second trellis I've made, so wear safety goggles, guys. That's all I can say. Wear safety goggles. I'm gonna try that again. Round 2. I'm just sizing it up this way. If they're not perfectly even, no one's gonna know but you, to be honest. Like, okay, round 2. And here comes round 3. Ooh. That one kind of stabbed me in the arm a little bit. That's fine. It's okay. It only slightly hurt. Okay, so you've got your trellis as far as its height. Now you've got to cut your little guys to go up and down. So what I'm going to do is I lay these guys out. And I hope to cut them all about this size. This is one that came in a package for me. So, let's see. I take these, I spread them out how I want them to look in the pot, which would be about there. Yeah, be about that wide. So then I just slide the pot out. I keep them as exact as I can. And we're going to take this little guy, since I already have this one somewhat cut, and we're just going to lay it on top. Once I have this size, I will lay out one of the shorter ones, and then I will take my twine and I will make it longer than it needs to be, just so that I don't have to recut. Cut that off. Okay, now you're going to take this, I lay it diagonally, and then I cross it under, kind of flip it over a little bit, and I these don't really matter right now. So that's probably my fault for saying anything about it. Okay, tie that. And then these guys came out that way. I'm actually going to turn it a little bit to secure it. Flip it back over. Tie it the opposite direction, and that gave me a splinter. Put it in the opposite direction. And then I personally like my ties in the back, so I'm going to give it one more flip. And then I'm just going to tie it off. So double knot this one. 1, 2. We will cut all those off later. Okay? Now I take the opposite side, the wide one, and I make sure at the bottom they're lined up. And then I do the same thing. Cut your twine. Again, longer than it needs to be. And then this time I'm going to start underneath because that was a pain in the butt to try to start over top. So, take this, I put it diagonally. You just tie one knot. And when you pull that knot, you want to make sure it's on the opposite diagonal. So then I flip it over, and it should still be on that opposite diagonal. Okay? And then I tie it again. And then again, opposite diagonals. Flip it back over. And yes, I tied a lot because I don't want it to come undone. And then last one, flip over, opposite diagonals yet again, and do your double knot. 1, 2, and that's it. Okay, and now you got your middle one. I do the outside ones first so that I can gauge where the middle one should be because I'm a little picky in that sense. So, again, another thing of twine. That last one I cut was kind of short. Alright. And again, underneath. Someone's OCD is going to kick in for me not starting on the same side every time, but, you know, I have that. I don't really have OCD at all, but JK, I do in some senses, but not nearly as bad as some people have it, so I keep my mouth shut about it. Okay, and then I just keep going. 4 ties. That's where it came from. We're gonna go back diagonal. If you lose track of the diagonals, it's fine. It's mainly to keep it stable, but it shouldn't be bearing that much weight. This is kind of just an auxiliary trellis. Alright, and then what I like to do is, there's like bamboo on the table from when I cut the bamboo, and it's like sticking me in the arm. But what I like to do is then double check to make sure it fits. I apologize if you can't see it. I'm just trying to do this quickly because my camera likes to shut off on me. I think that's the perfect size. So what I do next is actually take this and I figure out where my next thing should go. Now this is one of the ones that I just cut off of the original poles. I figure out where my first one's going to go. So that looks like a pretty good height for me. So I'm looking off of this little knob and it's about 1 inch above that. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to lay this back down. And yes, they should be inward so that you can actually put it in your pot. But I'm laying this about 1 inch above where it was, and we're going to do that same process over again. So if I fast forward through this, then cool, and if I choose not to, it's probably because I couldn't figure out how to do it on video editing, but maybe not. Alright, so here we go. Okay, so now we have this much done. I am going to once again insert it in the pot and make sure that everything is the perfect height that I need it to be. I'm actually going to push this down quite a bit because it kind of crept up on me. Alright, so there we go. So that's where I want that to be, and then I'm going to now put one right in the middle. So we're going to get one and we're going to put it right in the middle of these guys there. I don't think any of the ones that I have, it's a little too short for my taste. Not even for my taste, but for my comfort. This guy's a little big. I'm going to grab another bamboo stake out of here, and hopefully it's a little smaller. Alright, so obviously these guys aren't perfect, but they look okay. So I want to make sure I'm not cutting off too much of the original sticks so that if I do ever have to use these for other plants, then I have the ability to. So I'm going to cut here. Okay, well, the side that I needed is currently missing. So last one, we're going to stick this right in the center here, and we are just going to do the same thing that we've been doing this entire time. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Okay, and last thing we're going to do is just snip off all these little extra things, the tails. That one's double knotted, okay. Don't cut them off too short. I cut this one a little too short, just in case you ever have to tighten them up. Because obviously twine is not 100% secure. Okay, so that's that. Trellis. I am actually going to take my cutters. I'm going to cut off the end of this one. This is probably going to be a butch. Oh, that one actually wasn't that bad. Alright, so the way this trellis thing is going to work. I try to make sure the trellis is in there. Pick which side you want to be the back. I personally like having the little thing sticking out a little bit, so I picked that. And I'm going to line him up right to the center of the trellis, right there. That's where I want him to be, that's where he's going to go. And we're going to put him just like that. Okay? And what I'm actually going to do in order to help myself a little bit, because I have all these little cuttings to go with it, I'm actually going to go ahead and tie him to the trellis before I pot him up. So I'm going to take a little twine. I don't want to say tie him to the trellis. I'm going to secure him to the trellis, because he's the reason we have it in the first place. And I want to make sure that he's getting what he needs. So it's about the height I want him, maybe a little higher. Come on up, buddy. Okay. Alright. So that's what we're going to do with him for right now. This root is still going to be sticking out of soil a little bit, but I'm going to try to like get it to go back down in. Now, ooh! Here's the trick. I got to take this little guy who was a separate cutting within the big one, and all the other little cuttings that I have, and we're going to stick them all in this little pot. So, first things first, let's get some soil, which I have right here, and we're going to secure the big guy in here first, because without him being secure, I'm going to feel insecure. So, if he's not secure, neither am I. And I just tap on the side to get soil to go to the bottom underneath the roots that are already there. Yeah. Okay. That also helps secure the trellis, because last thing I need is this trellis falling over right now. Okay. Let's get these other little guys in here. I will turn this around to work with you guys in a little bit. I just want to make sure that I can actually get all these guys where they need to be. So, look at the root system on these guys. Everyone says to wait until they're like 4 inches long. Boom. There it is. There's one. I'm just going to kind of lay these guys where I think they'll do well. Okay, here's the next one. These are just little one-leaf cuttings. Some of them I bought, some of them I was gifted. Oh no, there we go. So these guys actually grew in green. Is that normal? What? Guys, I'm going with it. We're gonna have a party here. A party of Adansonii. Okay, so as you can see, I kind of laid all these guys around the outside of the pot, just so I could see where they would land, or lay, I guess. And it's gonna be a little interesting. So here we go. This little guy in the center is gonna get crushed. Okay, I'm gonna give him a pat down. So with cuttings, you don't want to stick them too far down in there because they still have nodes, and that's where they're going to grow their new leaves from. So you don't want to bury them. Just make sure that they have enough room to grow as well, which these guys so far do. I'm just using my hands to do the nasty job. Not even nasty. It's just dirty. Because it's dirt. Get it? Alright, we're getting to the top here, so I'm just going to continue putting these guys in here, straightening them out. So I'm pulling up on them slightly to make sure that they are not being buried, but it's also so that I can fill in around the outside. Okay, so I'm not just pulling up for no reason whatsoever. There we go. Alright, so obviously, with all repot situations, you're going to want to cover them up. Like, cover up all the the roots that you see, but you're also going to want to make sure that you're not suffocating anybody. So right now, this is what this guy looks like. And I'm pretty happy with him so far. I do need to water him, just because that's what you need to do when you repot plants, is you have to water them. But I also need to secure this guy up onto the trellis. So that's going to be my next move. So next we are going to actually tie this guy up. So I'm going to undo what I've already done. And we're going to make sure this guy is kind of centered. So I want him to have somewhere to go. I'm going to kind of secure him towards this center here. I don't want to... Obviously this is not to tie him up tight. So what I do is I just do it just long enough for them to get their aerial roots, which are already pointed towards this. Just long enough to get their aerial roots to wrap around. And I actually don't even tie it tight. But tight enough. Look at his new leaf up here. I'm so excited. Alright, I'm going to water and then I'll fill in some bulb spots. Alright guys, and here's the final product. I've got the trellis in there, I've got the plant, all the cuttings, and hopefully it'll be more healthy. So if you guys enjoyed this, give me a like and a subscribe down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!